Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter-Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
We go back 66 years to April 29th, 1956, an episode of Fort Laramie starring Raymond Burr. This episode entitled Quince's Capture. And we thank you for joining us on this TGI Friday, 29th day of April, 119th day of the year, 246 days remaining until we get to 2023. Maryland's House of Delegates voted on this date in 1861 not to secede from the Union. New Orleans fell to Union forces under Admiral David Farragut in 1862. The German army in Italy unconditionally surrendered the Allies in 1945. Adolf Hitler married his longtime partner Eva Braun on this date in 1945 in a Berlin bunker, designated Admiral Karl Donitz as his successor. Both Hitler and Braun committed suicide the following day. The Dachau concentration camp, liberated by U.S. troops on this date in 1945.
I remember like being born again, and we were very happy, and I saw a prisoner who died when he heard the news. He couldn't get up, he couldn't move, and then he just fell over.
Over 31,000 prisoners saved when Dachau was liberated on this date in 1945. Muhammad Ali stripped from his boxing title on this date in 1967 after refusing induction into the Army the day before, citing religious reasons. U.S. and South Vietnamese forces invaded Cambodia on this date in 1970 to hunt Viet Cong. And it was on this date in 1974 President Nixon announced the release of edited transcripts of White House tape recordings related to the scandal.
The impeachment of a president is a remedy of last resort. It is the most solemn act of our entire constitutional process. Now, regardless of whether or not it succeeded, the action of the House in voting a formal accusation requiring trial by the Senate would put the nation through a wrenching ordeal it has endured only once in its lifetime, a century ago, and never since America has become a world power with global responsibilities. The impact of such an ordeal would be felt throughout the world, and it would have its effect on the lives of all Americans for many years to come.
The House would approve impeachment proceedings on July 27, 1974, and just a short while later, on August 8th, President Nixon would resign. The last U.S. citizens began evacuations from Saigon prior to an expected North Vietnamese takeover on this date in 1975.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus. Run over? Oh, no, a child has been run over. Oh, my God. Oh, a child has been run over. Oh, God. Panic has overtaken this evacuation procedure. We just run over a child. We've been driving around Saigon trying to get into Tanzania Airport. Now we're taken down to the port. There's a mob scene there, Vietnamese everywhere, surrounding us, trying to get on. In an effort to get away, we run over a child. We ran right over the child's leg.
U.S. involvement in the war would come to an end on this date back in 1975. In 1992, riots in Los Angeles following the acquittal of police officers charged with excessive force in the beating of Rodney King.
This is a travesty. I mean, you saw that he was beaten very seriously, and he got away scot-free. They got away scot-free. I mean, it sent a message to the community, you're in trouble.
bunch of bigoted jurors in there that have no idea of what it is to be other than white, and that's the whole truth. I mean, you know, you hear about lynchings out in Mississippi and other countries. I mean, other states. Another state. This is a lynching.
This is a political lynching is what it was.
In several cases, motorists were dragged from their cars and beaten. Some witnesses say the rioters cheered and raised their arms in victory as a truck driver was attacked and sent to the hospital in critical condition.
I'm very hopeful that the calm can be restored to this very important part of our country and that goodwill will prevail over the hatred that we've seen in the streets.
Over the next 3 days, 53 people killed, hundreds of buildings destroyed in the Los Angeles riots in 1992. Oldsmobile built its final car on this date in 2004, ending 107 years of production. And a baseball game between the Baltimore Orioles, Chicago White Sox set the all-time low attendance mark for Major League Baseball on this date in 2015. 0 fans in attendance for the game, the stadium officially closed to the public due to the Baltimore riots. Passing away on this date in history, Alfred Hitchcock and columnist Mike Royko. This is the birth date of Duke Ellington, actor Tom Mule, Donald Mills and the Mills Brothers, Celeste Holm, Toots Thielman, the fine harmonica player, Lonnie Donegan, does your chewing gum lose its flavor on the bedpost overnight? Also Rod McEwen, Tammy Terrell, and Dale Earnhardt. You remember the song that she did with Nino Tempo, her brother? April Stevens, 92 years old today. Willie Nelson, 89. Richard Klein, Larry on Three's Company. Richard Klein, 78 today. Tommy James and the Shondells, Crystal Blue, Persuasion, Moni, so much great music. Tommy James, 75 today. A silver medalist in the 1968 Summer Olympics, but I remember him most when he became the first high school athlete to beat the 4-minute mile. In 1965. That record stood for 36 years. He would later become a congressman from the state of Kansas. Jim Ryan, 75 today. Saturday Night Live's Nora Dunn is 70. Jerry Seinfeld, 68. You remember her from Ryan's Hope and Star Trek Voyager. Kate Mulgrew, 67. Daniel Day-Lewis, 65. Michelle Pfeiffer, 64. The real Jan Brady, Eve Plum, 64. The daughter of Brian Wilson and a part of Wilson Phillips. And also talk show host Carrie Wilson, 54. From Private Practice, Paul Adelstein, 53. From Pulp Fiction and Kill Bill, Uma Thurman, 52. From Smallville and ER, Sam Jones III is 39. And from 13 Reasons Why and Spontaneous, Catherine Langford is 26. Those are just a few of the people who celebrate the 29th day of April as their birthday. And if this is your birthday...
Hi, we're the 4 freshmen, and we just want to say... Happy birthday to you!
All right, from 66 years ago today, April 29th, 1956, Raymond Burr, Fort Laramie, on this Friday Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox here on your favorite radio station. The MyPillow.com clearance continues. Roll and go anywhere. MyPillow's $9.99. The Body Pillow $39.99. And MyPillow bath sheets on sale 50% off. Use my promo code USA. Go to MyPillow.com/radio specials. You'll also get a free copy of Mike Lindell's book. MyPillow.com/radio specials. Use promo code USA or 1-800-951-8175.
Here's some great news. If you missed the deadline to sign up for health insurance, or if you just have a plan you're not happy with, you still have a choice. It's called MediShare. There are hundreds of thousands of members, and they love it. MediShare has a 98% customer satisfaction rating, and this is obviously huge. The typical family saves around $6,000 a year switching to MediShare. Find out more. They're great to talk to. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, 66 years ago, April 29, 1956, Fort Laramie, starring the man who would become Perry Mason, Raymond Burr.
At the gallop! Oh!
Fort-Laramie. Fort-Laramie, starring Raymond Burr as Captain Lee Quince. Specially transcribed tales of the dark and tragic ground of the wild frontier. The saga of fighting men who rode the rim of empire. And the dramatic story of Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry.
He's in there?
Red Horse is dying, Captain.
He sent for me.
And you have come. Red Horse alone believed you would come.
He's an old friend. Is he alone?
The great spirit chief is near, but Red Horse is alone. He waits for you and Snowfoot.
Yeah.
My old friend, come sit by me.
Thank you, Red Horse.
I knew you would come. There's a feel of the heart between us. I sent for you and Snowfoot, my son, and I knew you would come.
Will Snowfoot come?
As a father, I hope he will. As a man, I know he will not. I cannot blame him.
I can.
To come to me is to come on to the reservation. Snowfoot will never do that. He is young and certain of many things.
Snowfoot's how old now? About 15?
As the last leaves fall from the trees before the first snowfall, my son will begin his 16th winter. His mind moves quickly, but he is yet too young for wisdom.
If he is all you say, maybe the wisdom will come. But he's heading for trouble, Red Horse. He and that pack of young braves with him. So far, they're content to ride fast and make a lot of noise. That won't last, you know.
Snowfoot has not killed.
Not yet, as far as we know. But he's wild. He'll be looking for coup feathers. You don't get them running off horses and firing empty cabins.
These are my mistakes he is making.
You know better than that, Red Horse.
My good friend, believe what I say. I know better in this moment than I have ever known. It is the privilege of the very old as well as the very young to be certain.
And the years in between?
You are living them. They are a time of learning and unlearning, of being right and being wrong, of slow courage and quick anger, years of growing.
If it's in a man to grow.
I put food in his mouth that he might grow strong of body, but I fed his mind on bitterness and hate. I take credit for one. I must take blame for the other.
You're tired, Red Horse. I'll go now. Come another time.
My good friend, there can be no other time. You and I have always shared wise counsel. You think a fever speaks in me because you never saw the part of Red Horse which knew hate and bitterness, but it was there. And at my knee in this lodge, Snowfoot learned to distrust the white man.
It's time he learned otherwise. It's time he thought for himself.
If he were at my side, I would tell him that.
Would he listen?
I am his father.
You sent for him as his father. He's not here.
My heart knows that well.
Red Horse, I came here as your friend. I speak as your friend. If Snowfoot finds trouble, it's his trouble, not yours. If I find him, I'll deal with him as I find him, as Snowfoot, not as a son of Red Horse.
You prove you are my friend. You speak to me now as you have always spoken. There are those who promise empty words to a dying man. To do this would be to dishonor our friendship.
And when I find him?
Tell him a chief stands straight among all people. Tell him a man cannot stand straight when his mind is crooked.
I can promise that, Red Horse.
You give me peace. Go now, my friend. You cannot hear him come, but he is near. The great spirit chief comes only for Red Horse.
Red Horse,
Have no fear. It is a gentle time, and I am ready.
You are the one who sent for Snowfoot?
I rode to his camp myself.
Where is his camp?
On Dry Fork, near the joining waters of the Powder River. You think he will come with you, Captain?
I don't know.
I told him Red Horse was dying. He called it white man's trick to get him to come on the reservation. I hope you reach him in time.
It's too late for Red Horse. It may even be too late for Snowfoot.
Pickets are out, sir. I just rode check on camp. Everything's quiet.
Too quiet for me, Mr. Syberts. Has Sergeant Gorse returned from the telegraphers?
Not yet, Captain. You expect trouble?
I expect quiet. Patrolling the reservation is a quiet business. Death is a quiet time. It's all too much quiet, Mr. Syberts.
Your friend Red Horse is dead?
Yes. Before I'd reached the agent's house, the death song had begun.
Indian ways are primitive. I don't understand them.
You understand funerals?
Funerals?
Anybody's funeral. White man, red man. A man dies with dignity, but the mourners wail. Music plays. Songs are sung.
I guess you're right.
Yeah. I telegraphed the major for new orders, Mr. Syberts. If they come through, you'll be in charge of the patrol here.
New orders, Captain?
I want to go after Snowfoot.
You know where he is?
His camp's on Dry Fork, north of here, where it joins the Powder River.
Snowfoot's been quiet, Captain. He hasn't been raiding lately, unless you have new information.
If he's done nothing, he'll be easier to talk to.
I don't see your sentimental side often.
You think you see it now, Mr. Syberts?
Red Horse was your friend. You're doing this for him, aren't you?
Red Horse is dead. I couldn't do anything for him now if I wanted to.
I'm sorry, Captain. I know he meant a lot to you.
I'll tell you what means a lot to me, Mr. Syberts. I'd like to be out of a job. I'd like the whole army in the West to be out of a job. That'd mean a lot to me.
I don't understand.
When they talk peace, real peace, the red men and the white men, they won't need an army out here. Snowfoot's a young Indian. There's hope in him. If we can talk to him now, before he starts killing, if we can get him and his young band to come on the reservation, they might help us write that peace.
I can't imagine you out of the Army, Captain Quince.
I might surprise you, Mr. Syberts.
Yes, sir, I think you might. You think the Major feels like you do? I mean, you think he'll let you go after Snowfoot?
I don't know. I telegraphed him from the Indian agents this morning. I should have heard by now.
Well, suppose the Major says, all right, go after Snowfoot. Will Snowfoot listen to you?
I think he'll listen. That doesn't mean he'll do as I say.
Captain Quince, sir?
Oh, come in, Sergeant.
Captain, Lieutenant. Telegrapher just got it, sir.
Turn up that lantern, Mr. Syberts.
Yes, sir.
We have new orders, Mr. Syberts.
We? I mean, all of us?
All of us. We'll be joined by reinforcements to bring us up to company strength in the morning. Our orders are to move north against Black Eagle.
Black Eagle?
He's a real savage, Mr. Syberts. Sergeant Gorse?
Yes, sir.
You've heard the orders. Pass the word. See, we're ready to break camp, move out half an hour after reveille.
Yes, sir. How far north are we going, Captain?
To Powder River, Sergeant. Near Dry Fork.
Yes, sir. Captain, that's where you said Snowfoot makes his camp.
Well, Mr. Syberts?
Then maybe it's Snowfoot we're after, not Black Eagle?
The Major's telegram says Black Eagle, Mr. Syberts.
Yes, sir. Oh, what about your request for new orders to go after Snowfoot?
They were denied. We've a hard day of riding ahead, Mr. Syberts.
Yes, sir. I think I'll turn in early. Good night, Captain.
Good night.
This is Dry Fork we're following, Captain?
That's right, Mr. Syberts.
Water in it.
Looks like it.
I guess it doesn't have to be dry just because that's its name.
April 29th, 1956, Fort Laramie on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We'll have the news from that Sunday 66 years ago and the conclusion of Fort Laramie with Raymond Burr. But first, these important messages.
No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secrets to lose 3 to 5 pounds a week easily without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt by Med Diet. For the last 2 decades, we've been helping people just like you that have pounds they want to shed. We've helped millions of people lose thousands and thousands of pounds over the years. And now it's your turn. Learn the secrets of how to lose weight with one simple phone call. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a money-back guarantee. If you're ready to start losing weight right now, call right now to learn more about your risk-free order to Body Sculpt.
Call for your risk-free offer. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. That's 800-738-5332.
Are you in bad pain? You know what I mean. Your knees hurt. Your shoulder hurts. Your elbow and back are constantly killing you. And I'm sure you've tried every pain pill or cream available at the drugstore. Am I right? Well, here's something you haven't tried. Pain Magic. Pain Magic is not available at any drugstore. The only place you can get it is by calling the special toll-free number I'm about to give you.
And to make things even better, call right now and find out about our buy one, get one free offer. We're so confident it'll work for you that we offer a free bottle with your purchase. No prescription required.
Call now to learn how you can get Pain Magic and get rid of your pain. Remember, your results may vary.
800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. 800-492-8164. That's 800-492-8164.
Thanks for tuning in to Classic Radio Theater here on your favorite station, an episode of Fort Laramie starring Raymond Burr from Sunday, April 29th, 1956. In the newspapers of that Sunday 66 years ago, these were some of the headlines. President Eisenhower appears to have outmaneuvered congressional Democrats who thought they had him over a political barrel because of his farm bill veto. In the nearly 2 weeks since the president's rejection of the measure, there have been few signs of the kind of Farm Belt rebellion against the action that some Democrats were counting upon. Similarly, Republican complaints against the veto have died to a whisper in Congress. There is every indication of almost solid GOP support for the new farm legislation the president would find acceptable. Senator Albert Gore yesterday promised an all-out fight to increase funds earmarked for primary, urban, and rural roads in the $51.5 billion highway building program. The Tennessee Democrat, who is chairman of the Senate Highway Subcommittee, predicted the Senate will insist on a $900 million in a year for federal aid for such roads. States would put up the same amount. 3 Russian seamen declaring they plan to remain in the country testified yesterday they thought pressure caused 5 of their companions to return to Russia. Victor Tadodomil said someone put pressure on them. I am sorry. They will be punished. They will cut weed in the slave labor camps. The 3 seamen went before the Senate Internal Security Subcommittee to tell their story only a day after they had spurned direct appeals from Soviet Ambassador Georgy Zarubin that they return to Russia. A White House meeting in the near future between President Eisenhower and Senator Walter F. George, the Democrat of Georgia, may lead to a sweeping review of the entire U.S. foreign aid program. George is the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee and chief Democrat spokesman on foreign policy. He will meet with the president soon to discuss the subject. The precise date has not been set. Meanwhile, Senator Humphrey, the Democrat of Minnesota, called on the Eisenhower administration yesterday for a new evaluation of its foreign aid program to meet shifting Soviet tactics. Those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Sunday, April 29th, 1956 on your radio, Fort Laramie, which continues now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
Over east of here, near the Black Hills country, there's a scrawny little stream called Old Woman Creek.
I say what you mean, Captain.
Do you?
Sure, just because of its name doesn't mean there's an old woman in it.
It was the last time I saw it.
You're joshing me, Captain.
Old Indian squaw standing knee-deep washing clothes.
Guess you just can't tell.
Guess you just can't, Mr. Syberts.
Back there a ways, Captain, where we found those settlers butchered. That was Black Eagle's work?
Yeah, it looked like it.
Why not Snowfoot?
Oh, the way it was done. It was a big raid, a lot of horses. From all we know, Snowfoot has a small camp. Not over 20 braves ride with him. It was Black Eagle or someone like him with old enemies.
Settlers were old enemies?
Yeah, at least 2 of them were. The 2 men who weren't scalped.
I wondered about that.
Yeah, there's an old belief among some Indians that an unscalped enemy suffers after death. So if you gotta be killed by an Indian, Mr. Syberts, make sure he hates your guts.
I'll sure try, Captain.
About 3 hours of daylight left. If we keep up this pace, we should make our rendezvous by sundown.
Captain Meade's infantry's closing in from the east, sir?
Yeah. Started over in Black Hills country, Mr. Syberts, near Old Woman Creek.
Wonder if old squaw's still at her laundry work.
Maybe so, Mr. Syberts. Maybe so.
Looks like Sergeant Gorse, Captain.
Yeah, I wonder what happened to his scouting party. Company!
Company!
Halt!
Captain Quince, sir?
Sergeant?
Just ahead. Over the rise, near the wash. A settler. It was a raid, sir. Not too long ago. The fire's fresh, Captain.
And the settler?
Still alive, sir.
Company!
Company!
At the gallop!
At the gallop! At the gallop!
Halt! It doesn't look much like the last settlers, Gorse.
Not much. Not much at all.
I count 6 arrows.
You count them all, too.
One shed fired. Cabin's all right. You look inside?
It's neat in there, Captain. Like somebody'd give it good care. It's been redd up recent-like.
Nobody in there?
Nobody.
How about the barn? Ice house?
Nobody around. Nothing torn up, throwed around. Funniest kind of engine raid I ever heard tell.
Not many of them either, judging from the hoof marks. I'd say they were riding west, Sergeant.
Bearing toward Powder River, sir.
Yeah, let's have a look at that settler.
Lieutenant Sybert's been looking to his needs. Back there, Captain, the other settlers. The Indians was riding east.
I know.
Yes, sir. You're just lucky that's all they did.
You, feeling better, mister?
Just telling the lieutenant here. None the worse for wear, near as I can tell.
Head wound, Captain.
Head wound.
Yeah, lean over, mister. Yeah. Skin's broken a little. You got yourself a good-sized knot there.
Feels like a boulder, but it don't hurt much.
Well, it will. What'd they hit you with?
Hit me. You're all bound and determined I was hit, ain't you? Well, sir, I wasn't. I fell right over my big feet getting out of their way. Cracked my head a good one against that rock yonder, and that's the size of it.
Getting out of their way? Who are they?
They were the Comanches, of course.
Comanches?
Well, Indians. They're all Comanches to me. And these was bellering like Comanches, you'd take my word. Yipping and screaming. Didn't know what I'd die of first. Cracking my head or the noise.
Well, for all their noise, they didn't do much damage. How many Indians, mister?
Oh, dozen, I'd say. Maybe more, but not many more, mind you. I might have missed a few, seeing they was through here and gone like the wind.
We're figuring they rode through here to the west. That right?
That way. Yeah, west, toward Powder River. Oh, there's something else you can figure on while you're about it.
What's that?
I was young. Real young. I guess they'd have to be bellering and yipping that way. Yes, indeedy. Mighty young.
April 29th, 1956, Fort Laramie on this Friday edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
No offense, but are you a little fat when you look in the mirror? How would you like to learn the secrets to lose 3 to 5 pounds a week easily without joining the gym or going through any crazy diets? It's called Body Sculpt by Med Diet. For the last 2 decades, we've been helping people just like you that have pounds they want to shed. We've helped millions of people lose thousands and thousands of pounds over the years. And now it's your turn. Learn the secrets of how to lose weight with one simple phone call. You'll see an amazing difference in a matter of days. Don't believe us? We'll offer you a money-back guarantee. If you're ready to start losing weight right now, call right now to learn more about your risk-free order to Body Sculpt.
Call for your risk-free offer. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. 800-738-5332. That's 800-738-5332.
Frank Lovejoy on Saturday's edition of Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Night Beat from 72 years ago, April 30th, 1950. Am I My Brother's Keeper? Gig Sandler's is broken out of jail to get even with a fellow gang member who's married his old girlfriend, and a cop has gotten killed in the process. That's on Saturday's Classic Radio Theater, but let's wrap up this Friday edition with Raymond Burr, Fort Laramie, April 29th, 1956, 66 years ago today.
Captain Meade will have to get a move on if he expects to make camp with us before nightfall, Captain.
Yeah, I thought he'd beat us here.
You worried about Snowfoot, sir?
Worried, Mr. Syberts?
His camp can't be far away.
Not far. It's less than 10 miles to Powder River.
Are you going after him?
My orders are to engage Black Eagle, Mr. Syberts.
Well, I know that, sir, but if Snowfoot's
I intend to follow my orders, Mr. Syberts.
Yes, sir.
Got a message for Captain Quince.
I'm Captain Quince.
Message from Captain Meade, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Meade engaged Black Eagle at Porcupine Creek. Trapped him. Was a rout.
Black Eagle?
He's dead.
Any reply, sir?
Yeah, my compliments to Captain Meade. Tell him well done.
Yes, sir.
How long since you ate, soldier?
Been a spell, sir, since early morning.
Sergeant Gorse? Yo. We'll see you get some hot food, soldier.
Obliged, sir.
What about our orders now, Captain?
Our orders are clear, Mr. Syberts.
Captain?
Sergeant, see this man gets food and rest, see his horses tended to. Report back to me in half an hour.
Yes, sir. Come on, soldier. Captain Quince, about our orders...
The company will start back to Fort Laramie in the morning. Any questions?
No, sir.
I'll be in my tent, Mr. Syberts.
Yes, sir.
You, think I'm crazy, Gores?
Maybe not crazy, but you're sure acting like a man who wants to get himself captured.
Suppose you wanted to talk to Snowfoot one man to another. You know any better way than to go to his camp alone?
The way you want to talk to him unofficial-like? No, I don't know a better way. You want him to hold top hand, don't you, Cap?
Yeah, he has to, Gores.
There ain't many Indian camps I'd walk into alone, but if I had my pick, I'd take Snowfoot's.
You'll help Mr. Syberts understand this, won't you, Sergeant?
Now, that might be a lifetime job, Captain.
It's got to be between Snowfoot and me, not the Army and a young Indian band, if it's going to do any good.
Well, he'll have scouts out. You set to handle him?
If I have to. I'd rather they captured me.
Captain Quince, if you figured you was going to get yourself killed...
I'm not figuring that way, or I wouldn't do it. Do you know that, Gorse?
Yes, sir, I do. Or I'd have to tag along one way or another.
Snowfoot hasn't killed yet. I don't see him counting me his first coup.
Sure wish you luck, Captain.
Yeah, thank you, Gorse. See you back at Fort Laramie.
His trick. His white man's trick. You see, Snowfoot. By morning, white man's army come.
Trick belongs to Snowfoot, Spotted Dog. Go now. Call the council together. I will speak to them when I have finished with White Captain.
But Snowfoot...
Go now!
That your whole band, Snowfoot?
We have scouts out. We make up in young strength what we lack in number. So, we trick you, White Captain.
You did?
Raids of Snowfoot bring much fear to white man, or White Captain would not be here.
You're not thinking very straight, Snowfoot.
I knew white man would come. I know you, White Captain, would come, friend of my father.
I have a message from your father.
My father is dead.
Before he died, he asked me to tell you that a chief stands straight among all people. That a man cannot stand straight when his mind is crooked.
He was an old man, my father. Old men stoop, grow soft, with the mind of a squaw. Old men go to reservation to make friend with white men, and to die.
Your father was a proud chief, Snowfoot, and a wise one.
Before he made friends with white man, yes.
What do you want from the white man?
My hunting grounds. The right to move in peace among my own people, on my own lands.
Do you think you'll get what you want this way?
It is the only way.
You don't know what you're talking about. Your words are like your raids, a lot of noise and not much meaning.
My raids have brought White Captain. White man now sees the power of Snowfoot.
You don't believe that yourself.
White Captain speaks big words for a captive.
What do you do with your captive, Snowfoot?
Snowfoot has his ways.
You never captured a thing but a few horses. You never killed a thing but game. That's why I think maybe there's some hope for you.
White Captain is prisoner. Big coup for Snowfoot. Tomorrow, white army men come. Talk terms with Snowfoot for release of White Captain.
They won't come tomorrow, Snowfoot, because I'm not big enough. And because you're not big enough.
They will come.
If I were a general, if you were Sitting Bull, maybe. But we're not. We're just a couple of men this country could use.
They will come.
A lot of young braves like you are hunting on the reservation and fishing and sitting at council tables with white men.
White men will come. Bring counsel to Snowfoot. Make peace on Snowfoot's terms.
You'll see, Snowfoot. We're not big enough.
White Captain has said no white men come, and they do not come, Spotted Dog. Our scouts have seen them move away.
2 sons have gone, and I have watched you, Snowfoot. Much powwow with White Captain. You grow weak on his words.
You speak with a crooked mind, Spotted Dog. There is room for strength in the mind as in the body.
Now you speak as our fathers before us.
We are our father's sons, Spotted Dog.
White Captain, bad medicine.
Then we will rid the camp of him.
Kill?
You will get White Captain's horse, Spotted Dog. Now. You will go, White Captain. You will return to the white man. Show them you knew no harm in Snowfoot's camp.
Yes, I'll show them.
They will see I am proud chief, worthy of counsel.
Maybe they will. There's always counsel waiting for you on the reservation, Snowfoot.
Reservation holds grave of my father, and I am my father's son. You will go now, White Captain.
Patrol! Oh!
Mr. Syberts, good to see you.
Good to see you, Captain. You all right, sir?
I'm all right. How's Major Daggett?
I guess he's fine, sir. He was worried about you. Sent me back with the patrol as soon as we reached Fort Laramie. How far have you ridden, sir?
Oh, 10, 20 miles.
Well, looks like you made out, Captain.
I'll know better later on, Sergeant.
Well, anyways, they didn't kill you.
Oh, they decided I wasn't important enough.
Well, we're here to show them you are, Captain. We'll give them something they can understand.
What are your orders, Mr. Syberts?
Why, to rescue you, sir.
Do I look like a prisoner to you, Mr. Syberts?
You look fine to me, Captain, but shouldn't... I mean, we can't let them get by with what they did, sir.
They did nothing. I rode into their camp. I rode away, unharmed.
Well, that's true enough.
You were to secure my release and return to Fort Laramie. That right, Mr. Syberts?
That's exactly right, sir.
I suggest we follow those orders.
But what about Snowfoot, Captain?
He's Red Horse's son. I think we'll see him on the reservation someday.
I hope so.
Fort Laramie is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald and stars Raymond Burr as Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry, with Vic Perrin as Sergeant Gorse. The script was specially written for Fort Laramie by Kathleen Height, with sound patterns by Bill James and Ray Kemper. Musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Featured in the cast were Harry Bartell, Jeffrey Silver, Ralph Moody, Lee Millar, Frank Cady, Lou Krugman, and Jack Moyles.
Company, tension! Dismiss!
Next week, another transcribed story of the Northwest frontier and the troopers who fought under Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry. Although our national elections are still months away, they've already captured the attention of the whole world. The decisions we make in November will affect world events for years to come. That's why CBS Radio reminds you now that you can participate in the elections only if you are registered. Voting is more than a privilege of free men and women. It's a responsibility we owe ourselves and our country. Register. Inform yourself on the issues and the candidates, and vote in all elections, including primaries. Your vote will count, if it's there to be counted.
And we wanted to include that message because we want to encourage you to register and vote for the upcoming midterm elections. Not political, just what you need to do to take care of making sure your voice is heard at election time. Fort Laramie, April 29, 1956, here on Classic Radio Theater. If you miss a day on this station, you can find our shows anywhere like iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, Amazon, Facebook. Just search Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Also, our webpage is classicradio.stream. You can hear our shows there. You can contact us there, classicradio.stream. Have yourself a great weekend. Tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station.